Hello and welcome back to FiddleUP. I'm Emerald Ray, and today, as you can see, it's a little bit different. We're in my Nashville studio now. And so this is Beauties of the Ballroom, which was written by James Scott Skinner, who was kind of known as the grandfather of the Northeast, sort of Aberdeen style. The East Coast and the West Coast of Scotland kind of have different flavors. And the East Coast definitely has a more kind of flamboyant kind of classical style. So James Scott Skinner was definitely one of the big fiddle players who kind of pushed that style forward and was really, really well known for it. He was actually also the first fiddle player to get famous for dancing and fiddling at the same time, only he was doing Highland dancing instead of step dancing. So definitely check him out. He's got a bunch of books. This tune is from a kind of less well-known collection that was called Beauties of the Ballroom. And so this tune is not as well known. It's kind of a little bit of an obscure one, but not in Cape Breton. For some reason, this one made it to Cape Breton and is pretty well known there. So it's one of those tunes. It's really beautiful. It's not that hard. It's 3 parts. It's only a little bit tricky with the shifting thing, but we will figure that out, don't you worry. But this isn't the advanced course, so I have to give you a kick. So let's get started off with this tune. The first A part here is going to start off with a big run all the way up the E string. And that is the entire A part. That's all there is. So we're gonna really make a big meal out of that unison there. So a unison is when you put your 4th finger down on the D string. And then you play the open A string at the same time. And then you have a trill on the A string. So that is a very Cape Breton-y thing to do. So check out the ornamentation section. I do have a video on the unisons there, so you can check that out. But in the meantime, let's work on this A part here. So we're going to start all the way, run up to the E, or run up to the A rather, and then open E. One more time. And then the next phrase is. So that's nice and easy. Let's try that all together. So I usually like to do a big giant up bow at the beginning. You can even just kind of whack my bow into the string. Kind of surprised myself there by throwing in a unison in the middle there. And then just repeating that. But then instead of doing that whole unison with the trill, we're going to go up to the high A again. So let's try that whole A part one more time. And that's where we're going to start the B part there. So you might notice this is really short. This happens with the older Scottish tunes, is that they're really like really short little 8-bar parts that just repeat twice and then they move on. So it might feel like we're running ahead here, but that's really what's happening. The old Scottish tunes are really generally really short, like 16 bars. And that's kind of sometimes a bit confusing for people. It gets confusing for playing contra dances for me as well, because all the tunes have to be 32 bars and I have to remember that I have to either double the tunes or play them extra times or whatever. But it's sad, a lot of the older Scottish tunes like don't fit into more modern frameworks because they're so little. So this is one of those where it's got really short parts. And then so we have the B part. So, but instead of going up to the A with my third finger, I'm gonna slide up here. So I was still playing the melody there, but I wasn't getting into the shift yet. So what we're gonna do is go from the open E, sorry, and slide up to the A here with my third finger. First finger, I gotta say, I can't do any of the numbers today, I'm so sorry. So open E, and then I'm gonna slide up with my first finger to the third finger position, and that's an A, okay? That's what I meant to say. So there we go. And I like to do fiddle shifts. I don't like to do clean shifts ever. I actually never do clean shifts. I actually kind of like the sound of sliding up and down. So my shifts are very open and vocal, and according to classical technique, that's like totally wrong, but I don't care. So as a fiddle player, I get to decide what I like to do. So I like to slide through my shifts whenever possible, actually. And I kind of even shift down a little bit and slide down a little bit. It's the messiest shifts ever, but I do actually like that. So that's what I do. It's actually on purpose. I feel like it just makes the whole thing sound more dramatic, which is what you're going for anyway. So sliding up. So using all my fingers there, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then down to the second finger, the G. One more time. Okay, let's try that one more time. And then continuing on. So I'm starting on the C on your A string here. So that's kind of, there's a lot of arpeggiation in Scottish music, so this is kind of like a little bit of a filler bar here. So open E. So I'm throwing in a few ornaments here and there, a few little trills or little things, but nothing major. This tune is such a big tune. It really doesn't need much. So if you're kind of just going through and not putting any trills in yet, then that's totally okay. So the next part is, so that's then we would repeat all of that again. So let's try that again. go to the first ending or the second ending. So if you were going back into the beginning of the B part, it would go. Or if you were going into the C part, it would go. And then we do another one of those unison trills and then go all the way down. Because that's where we're going for the C part there. So let's start from the top of the B part, because I know this is probably getting confusing right now. This is a long part. This is weirdly a long part where the A part was kind of short. This one feels super long. So we're going to slide up. All right, so let's try that whole thing again, starting from the beginning. So start from the slide up. Okay, so I know that's biting off a lot, but don't worry, if you feel like you need to repeat this part, just rewind a little bit. And we'll go on to the C part down here, which is much easier, I promise. So we're gonna start down on the low A on your G string. That's it, you just play that twice, so that's nice and easy. So it feels very slow compared to the first two parts, but it's kind of nice. It's a really nice break before you go into the beginning of the tune again. It just kind of feels like, okay, take a rest for a second. So down on the A down here. So on that third part there, going kind of up into the unison, and you could trill there if you wanted to. So that last part is very like East Coast Scotland sound right there. It's kind of that classical flavor coming in. So the Scottish music has a lot of these like triplet and quadruplet things, not polyrhythmic, but kind of like they're a little bit interchangeable. And that happens in Cape Breton music sometimes as well, with the triplets and things like that. I won't go all the way down the rabbit hole with that, but so that's just like, you're just going for pretty there. So that's, you know, so it's kind of like a little bit of a trill and then run down to the first finger there. And I like to put all the double stops on this part too, so it's kind of hard for me to just teach the tune and not do the double stops too. So I'll try it one more round with just the tune, and then we'll add the double stops in. Well, let's go in with the double stops this time. So I'm putting my first finger over the two bottom strings. So I'm getting that nice A and E A chord there. And that's hitting the E on the D string and the open A. So this is just open G and D. Third part. And that's where we have the unison here. So I've got my fourth finger on the D string and the open A. And you could trill if you want there. And then something like that. Should we try the whole C part twice through and see how that goes? So if you were getting confused on the bowing there, I think I should probably explain. I'm doing like a little double up bow or something. What am I doing? Yeah. See that? And I'm doing that so I can land on that big down bow that I just landed on. It's so awkward to slow it down. It sounds much nicer slow. It's like, you know, you have like beginner bow where you're just pulling way too much bow. When I slow things down, sometimes it just like, it doesn't sound right because I'm just pulling too much bow so I can demonstrate. But anyway, I'll try to do a little bit slower. But it doesn't look like a double up bow because it's like I'm kind of doing a little bit of a zhuzh there. See how I'm going down? My bow is actually hovering there for a hot second. So it, like, I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't really look like a, because I'm not stopping the bow. I'm just taking it off for a second. So I just wanted you to catch that because that would be a little hard to catch if you didn't know what was going on. And that's what gives it that sound where it's kind of got that staccato flavor, you know, da dee da dum ba da, and then you land a oops. try not to knock the set down here. So yeah, so you want to make sure you've got that going so you can hit the down bows in the right place because that's really important. Okay, so let's try this whole tune together, shall we? So we're going to start from the beginning. So that's the A part, and then the B part is. and then on and on and on from there. And then the third part is. Okay, so let's start from the 1, 2, 3. So there you go, that's the beauties of the ballroom. So I hope you've got enough there. I mean, we kind of went over all the ornamentation as we were going there. So I hope you like this tune. I hope you use it, and I will see you in the next video.